on almost every single intro discovery call that I've had in the last couple months, everybody has struggled with pricing. And so rather than gatekeep the information from you, I'm going to just create a free training that dives into my philosophy on pricing and hopefully helps you create some healthier revenue structure within your business. Now, before we even talk about pricing, it's really important that we understand the three C's of your offer. And this is going to really impact your mindset on how you present pricing. So, when I'm talking to my clients about the three C's of offers, we're looking at conviction, confidence, and congruence. Now, conviction is you are certain that the market has a problem that you can solve. So, for example, you help CrossFitters get out of pain. You are certain that CrossFitters have that problem, right? You have a high level of conviction that your audience has a problem that you can solve. The second is confidence. You have a high level of certainty in yourself that you are a person who has the solution to that problem. So there might be some things out there where you're really high conviction that this problem exists, but you aren't the person to solve that, right? Like, for example, I'm an outpatient ortho guy. You give me a really complex neuro case, I have a high level of conviction that that person has the problem. I have a really low level of confidence that I'm the person to solve it, which would make me presenting an offer to that person not land very well, right? Because my confidence is low. Now, you give me a CrossFitter with shoulder pain with kipping, I have a very high level of confidence that I'm able to help that person out, right? So, conviction, does your audience have the problem? Confidence, are you the person to solve it? And the third is congruence. Is the way that you're solving it aligned with how you want to solve it, right? So let me use myself as an example. Early on in my career, everything I did was in person. That was the only way that I knew how to practice because it was what I learned. What I found was that I was out of alignment with in-person practice being the only way that I could get client results. And what that did is it showed up in the way that I made offers because I was like, man, you really don't need me in the clinic to just like watch you do exercise. And once I added a virtual offer to my practice, my congruence went up so high. So what I want you to do is before we really dive into pricing, I want you just to pause this training for a second and I want you to rate yourself 0 to 10. 0 being I am so uncertain and 10 being I am really certain that your client has the problem, you're the person to solve it, and the way that you solve it is aligned with what you want to do, how you want to practice. Those things need to be like 7 or above before we even move into pricing because this stuff is going to affect your mindset moving into pricing. Okay, now that we've got the 3 C's out of the offer out of the way, let's talk about some actual pricing factors. So I think all of those 3 C's kind of fall into this confidence portion down here. I think that in your market, it's important to consider market rates. It's important to consider how people consume. But market rates shouldn't be the only reason, the only factor of why you set your prices, right? You shouldn't see that like the insurance clinic down the road is charging $90 per session. And so therefore you think, well, I'm a cash practice. I'm going to now charge $90 per session. Like, you know, the experience is different. And so therefore we shouldn't let the market dictate the pricing. You need to understand where you fit from a value perspective, from an authority perspective, from a confidence perspective. And what we often see a lot is as people's reputation grows within their community, as demand increases, price can increase, right? Value can increase. So a lot of people just come in and look at market rate. They say, well, other cash PTs around me are charging $150 a session. And so therefore, I'm actually going to charge a little bit less. But I want you to start thinking of like, how do you solve a very specific problem for people where you could actually be niched down to where you charge more, right? And that is something that consumers look into. If something is priced too cheap, people will think there's something wrong with it. There has to be a healthy enough pricing psychology in play to where people actually want to invest and work with you. And it's really crazy how expensive prices can drive that a little bit more. So let me break down a little bit of my pricing philosophy, right? I think some people out there will do an ascending pricing structure where the eval is cheap or relatively inexpensive, and then you come in and you're trying to sell a $2,000 plan of care, $3,000 plan of care. And while you might get more people in the door, what I think is going to happen is you're going to kind of have this sticker shock, right? Let's say you're charging $100 for your eval or $49 special for your eval. Your client comes in and then all of a sudden you're like, hey, this is great. The plan of care is now $2,500. There's a massive gap, right, between the eval rate and your plan of care rate. So what I actually prefer is I prefer a descending structure. I prefer the evaluation to be per session the most expensive thing that you offer. And the reason why I like that is it sets a solid anchoring tone. It now says, my assumption as a consumer is that every visit here beyond the evaluation is going to be, in this case, around $250. So when I bring somebody in for a $249 evaluation, the other thing that's happened is I've only had to sell them on the first step, which is $249, not the entire plan of care. And I think that the eval is the most difficult sale because it is where you are trying to get consumer behavior to change, right? You're trying to get them to opt out of using insurance. You're trying to get them to invest cash instead of a third-party payer. And so when we have really dialed in marketing, this becomes so much easier. But I want you guys to think about, is it going to be easier to sell something that is $249 once or something that an entire plan of care, $2,500, let's say, $2,000, let's say, and get the client to buy in early on. So I recommend when you are pricing, when you're doing your discovery calls, you're trying to make that call solely about getting them in for the evaluation for $249 so you can build trust, so you can build problem awareness, so you can make sure that you show them the plan before you discuss what the plan of care looks like, right? So now we've got a $249 eval and we're going to go a descending pricing structure. Don't overcomplicate this. I think that the floor for cash-based PTs these days should be at least $150 per session. So the problem that most people have is they make their single session $150 and then they package their rates back from that. One of the most common things that we do is we come in and we establish your current single session rate as your 10-pack rate, and then we build up from there. So your clients can still get the rate that you're offering today, but it just comes with buying in bulk. So this is a really easy standard process. A single session is $200. A pack of 6 brings it down to $180 per session. A pack of 10 brings it down to $150 per session. If you prefer to be 8 or 12 sessions, it can just be the same. I'm a 6 and 10 guy because I like to have a virtual offer layered with my pricing, with my in-person sessions. And so I generally am seeing a lower volume of in-person sessions. Now, if you are just starting out, one of the things that I recommend is you offer 3 to 5 intro, promo, whatever you want to call it, plans of care. A $99 eval and 10 sessions for $1,000 because the proof of concept, the reputation that you'll build, you want to ask for a testimonial, you want to ask for a Google review, you want to ask them for 2 referrals. That might be more valuable than money. Actually, I think it will be more valuable than money in the beginning. So pricing structure, get something out there that you're confident with, that's easy for you to sell, 3 to 5 promo introductory offers, and then move to something like this from a pricing standpoint. Now, it's really important that you understand your pricing boundaries because it might be difficult for your clients to lay out, $1,700 session number 1 with you. And so generally when I am consulting our clients within our community of what payment boundaries can be, I'm allowing clients to commit to the process, commit to the plan of care, and I'm allowing them to split a 6-pack or an 8-pack of sessions into 2 payments 30 days apart. And I'm allowing them to split a 10-pack into 3 payments each 30 days apart. You always want to make sure that you have visits as collateral, so you never want to extend out the payment plan beyond the visit plan of care. This is all completely up to you as far as what you want your boundaries to be. I've just seen this work really well within practices. When you're selling a plan of care, it is not about collecting the money. It is about getting commitment to the plan. Now, if clients bail on a plan of care and let's say ask for a refund or don't want to pay that remaining amount, you are then going to prorate all of the sessions as though they were single. They're no longer getting the bulk purchase rate. So they would be paying $200 a session, or if they did 6 sessions out of the 10, you would charge them the $180 per session. That's what I found to be really fair and appropriate in these processes. The big thing that I want to kind of leave you guys on in these last couple slides as we wrap is revenue construction. So how you sell within your practice is going to dictate the problems that you have. And what we often see providers fall on is kind of this revenue roller coaster, right? Where when you get really busy, all of your marketing kind of falls off. And so then what do you have to do? You have to churn clients off your schedule. You have to then go back out and pound the pavement. You get really busy again, and you kind of fall into this cycle, right? This is very traditional in solo practices that don't have recurring revenue, that are session-based, that are fee-for-service based. So one thing that will stabilize your revenue a little bit is packages. And again, I kind of touched on this earlier, but why packages are important is because lifetime value will make or break your business, right? If you are only seeing clients for 2 to 4 sessions, I just want you guys to think about how many clients you're going to need in order to make $100,000 a year. So this is a low LTV, low lifetime value. Let's say that you're seeing clients for 4 sessions at $200. So you're generating $800 per plan of care. You're going to need 125 new clients. That's assuming you close at 100% rate. You're going to need 125 clients. That's what, 10, 10 and a half, 11 clients on your schedule, new clients on your schedule per month to make $100,000 per year. Now let's assume that you can get that LTV, that plan of care value, up to $2,000. So every time you bring an eval in, they are worth $2,000 to your business. Now you only need 50 clients. You only need 4 new clients, 1 per week, in order to make $100,000 a year. This is going to be the key in your business on generating a big influx of cash, collecting up front, making sure that you don't have those clients that get through 2 visits, they feel better, and then they fall off when we know that the plan of care is not finished. It's really important that you focus on packages within your journey, within your business, if packages are something that you can do, right? I know some of my Canadian physios, you can't do packages. And then lastly, kind of tying into that revenue roller coaster from 2 slides ago, is just understanding that recurring revenue is a cheat code in business. What I see a lot of people do is they create these continuity offers that are in-person continuity offers, right? So it's like, hey, for $150 a month, you can come in and you can be on my schedule for a maintenance visit. The problem that happens with that is now you have a $150 client taking up a spot where that could be worth $249 eval, $200 single session. So yes, it stabilizes the business, but it also costs time. So what I prefer to do in my businesses and in the blended practice model is we prefer to implement recurring revenue that is not tied to time, that detaches you from your schedule. And we do that with a virtual offer called the Prescriptive Exercise Program. So this will get you off of the revenue roller coaster. This will prevent you from needing to start each month at 0, when you need to see more sessions or need to get more clients. We have some clients with anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 a month in recurring revenue from virtual offers that comes in before they ever see a client. And this is how you get off of the financial stress in business, is you stack monthly recurring revenue. If that's something that you want to learn more about, there's going to be another video here. Just click below and it'll take you to another video on how our recurring revenue model works within the blended practice model. But I hope that this was helpful for y'all in just making a really simple, really easy way of getting clear and getting confident on your offer and just setting a really clear and clean pricing structure within your business.